I think that's good for like us, the
viewers,
common fans who like those breakdowns and think, oh, okay, then I was having a few beers. I didn't pick up on what was going on and the finer nuances of the plays. And you can see, especially, I love when Sean breaks it down because he makes it quite simple for average Joes like me to understand the complexities of the play.
The system that we've got and the style of play that we've got and how the boys are playing is the thing that the New Zealand public are responding to, and the reason why we're 53% when it comes to those questions about between us winning the Premiership and the ABs winning the World Cup is the fact that
I suppose this sort of matters for like us, the little podcast guys like ours. Because you think about us, our job isn't to promote the NRL. We're rugby league fans discussing rugby league. So sometimes we're going to praise them and sometimes we're going to roast them. But, I think criticism can actually come from, loving the product and wanting it to be better.
Tana for lover, and welcome into another episode of the 135 Footy Show, proudly part of the Weswes Network. You can go check us out on all social media platforms, as well as our YouTube channel, Weswes Sports, and also our website, theweswes.com. Talofa, welcoming the boys. Bob, been a while. How are you, man?
Yeah, good, bro. Good to be back. It has been a while. Man, we haven't dropped an episode for a little while, even with Sire. I think that was the last one that you were on. So, yeah, man, heaps of awesome wise victories to talk about, brother. So let's get into it.
Been a good little time between. Welcome back, Stace. Good to have you on also as well.
Yeah, brother. Thanks for having me on again. Also, yeah, similar to Bob, it's been a bit, but I know it's hard to get some of the other regulars on once they're looking towards 2027 season. So, man, just glad to myself and Bob can help to keep things afloat for the pod and the network. So, cheers, boys.
Exactly. Thank you, boys. Yes, I know the regulars have drifted off. That Manly Ultimate Warrior hasn't been on for a very long time. He's very disruptive as well, so it's a good thing. As for the Broncos, I don't know. They're dead in the water. Like our group chat has gone quiet from the boys. They're not replying to personal texts to them either. So hope you boys are all right. Just checking in, making sure you're well. Doing a health check on you guys. But let's glaze the wires for a bit. Why not? I'll come straight to you, boys. Let's go to you, Stace, for our usual awards, our All Eyes awards. Let's start with the bad stuff. Yokaya Kele for the weekend. Across the weekend, man. What didn't impress?
Yeah, just thinking about the Kayakele. So about a month ago, Peter V'landys, he announced the new broadcast arrangement, and he was trumpeting the fact that it's the biggest TV deal in the Southern Hemisphere, and he praised all the good things the game is doing, and rightly so. But if you read the fine print on the TV deal, there's some interesting caveats in there, and one of them being the idea of having this NRL media cop type scenario.
Yeah.
So reports around the new broadcast arrangement says the NRL wants greater scrutiny of the commentators, including disclosure of conflicts of interest, but also potentially monitoring commentators who are considered excessively negative about the game. And it's that latter part is where I start getting a bit uncomfortable, and that's a bit Kayakele for me. So now the conflicts of interest stuff, absolutely, I agree with that. So if you're commentating on players and you're simultaneously acting as their agent, or you're working for a club while supposedly giving independent analysis, the audience sort of deserves to know that. But policing negative comments is completely different. Because who decides what's negative?
Yeah.
So if refereeing is poor, for instance, are commentators allowed to say that it's poor? Or if the NRL introduces a bad rule, can Phil Gould sort of call it stupid like he's done in the past? He's been fined previously after repeatedly criticising the game, although those fines were sort of ultimately suspended. And I suppose this sort of matters for like us, the little podcast guys like ours. Because you think about us, our job isn't to promote the NRL. we're rugby league fans discussing rugby league. So sometimes we're going to praise them, and sometimes we're going to roast them. But I think criticism can actually come from loving the product and wanting it to be better. So I think once the organisation being covered starts deciding, what constitutes acceptable commentary about itself, and I think you're walking down a pretty dangerous road. So that particular caveat is Gaia Kele for me. So I'll give that my award.
Yeah, interesting point about that. Like, I heard them chatting about it, like that negative media too. Like, to your point, like, what is negative and who do they mean? When they talk about that, the media cop and the people. Like, is it just those that are paid by Triple E or NRL or associated or have some kind of allegiance or because like you're saying, the impacts on us, like. Oh, we got nothing to do with you. Like, we're commenting on a game we love, and we see things. Especially the segment. Does that just do away with this whole? Let's do our all lives, but you can't do Gaia because we might cross the line. I don't know, Bob. Where do you stand with that? Like, it's like broadcasting standards, but it's by the NRL paying for this. Or I guess actually it's by the broadcasters with their big money deal.
Yeah, I don't know. I reckon any publicity is good publicity for the game, even if it is negative, because then you're still getting eyes and ears on the product, right? Like, people are watching all these podcasts and they're all having a say on people's reactions. So, anything that generates, more fandom or more sort of response to anything that's happening in rugby league is it's good for the game. Like, it's going to spread viewership. I understand where they're coming from, but like, it's like free publicity. Platforms like ours is like free publicity, man. You just don't have to pay us nothing to talk about rugby league or to highlight stuff or to highlight other well-known podcasts or news segments that have come out about league during the week. Like, it's all free publicity for me. So I don't know. It might be a bit too much of a heavy-handed stance, that last bit that Stace highlighted, but yeah, it's stupid. I don't know how they'll be able to police that when it's so. Is it subjective? Is that the word? Subjective to whoever is interpreting what's going to be negative.
Yeah,
so
what's negative?
Yeah.
Nice. Your Gaia Kele, Bob.
Yeah, my Gaia Kele goes to. We hadn't seen it for about 18, 19, 20 rounds, but it sort of popped up again over the weekend of footy. The disruptor rule, man. Like,
back.
It's back, all right. We're only a few weeks out from finals footy, and then all of a sudden the NRL is starting to rule on this stuff again. And you can't tell me that in the time that it was very big news at the start of the season to now, there haven't been instances where disruptor type incidents have occurred. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, as soon as I saw them go up and they were watching it, like the one to us that one, I was thinking, shit, they're going to call it disruptor. Like, we haven't seen it, but it's going to come.
But you saw the action,
Yeah, one arm, and I was thinking, fuck, they're going to call it, and they did. And I knew at the end of that game it was going to fire up Trent Robinson, and even just after that first game, and then they called like another one later on during the weekend's games, and I was like, these guys trying to make it a bit consistent, but it's too late, man. You haven't been consistent with that stupid rule all year, and now you want to sort of start calling disruptors again at the end of the year.
Yeah,
I have a feeling that it's going to stuff up someone's season with this kind of controversial call in the finals. Like, it'll be during the finals one time, and there'll be a disruptor call, and it'll probably be Ash Klein with $20,000 on the game secretly, and and it's going to stuff up someone's premiership chances. This disruptor call. That's my prediction. And I hope it's not the Warriors, but I have a feeling that that's not the last we're going to hear the stupid disruptor ruling. So that's my Gaia Kele from the weekend's games.
Oh, conspiracy theory. You make an interesting point, though, because doing the disruptor against the team whose secret weapon is just kicking to their wingers, the disruptor is always going to be against the Roosters. It'll always be any team trying to go up against those guys. They're going to end up being the disruptor. So it's going to be very interesting because that's their tactic. So I don't know. Is disruptor usually the attacking? It's actually the attacking team. So maybe it's going to play against the Roosters. Because I guess you have little murmurs, people going, "Oh, you really want to watch that? Just a team kick into the corner, score, kick to the corner, score." But if your team's good enough, why not? But you might be onto something there, Bob. Maybe it's just like bring the disruptor because everyone's sick of Mark Nong, just getting. No one need to us here, just get over the top of everyone and do some magic. Like, oh fuck that shit. These guys got to run for everyone. They can't just kick to him and then he does magic. I don't know, Stace, the disruptor has come back. Like, if they're gonna be consistent, are you happy to see it as long as they just keep it consistent?
Yeah, I think that's the key, like Bob's touching on, is the consistency. So we didn't see any disruptor calls for a good couple of months.
16
And now
weeks,
there
yeah.
seems to be, I don't know if I don't want to use the word crackdown, but I feel like they're going back to, we need to stop these disruptors before the finals type thing. That Mark Nawangani Tuasi one was quite interesting because there was blockers in front of him. I can't remember who it was. And that forces him off his line. So the blocker stops him from jumping up and getting the two hands on him. He has to go on the side, and that's how he's sort of getting one hand. So that's where it gets even more murky because was that a blocker call or that led to the disruptor?
Isaac
Escort. Sorry, that's what I'm talking about. Escort.
Yeah.
That's the word. Escort. He was escorted off the ball, and that caused him to be more of a disruptor. Because if he didn't get escorted, he probably would have got much more cleaner catch. And we're getting more and more murkier the more I talk about it. So I sort of agree with Bob. I mean, these are getting some 50-50 calls, which could go multiple ways. So that's going to be interesting. But I mean, it's interesting the timing as well. Sort of 3-4 weeks before the finals. There seems to be this, hey, look, we better look at this stuff. So I'm not sure if they're trying to foreshadow, hey, look, we've got to clamp down before the finals to make sure that it doesn't happen. But I think the escort adds another layer of complexity to the disruptor.
Well, yeah, because I guess they'll crack down on that definition of escort now to nullify it. So I don't know if this is my kaya killer, but I'll make it now because I guess it's that, like the consistency and the way they're ruling on things because I guess there's that getting consistent and then like the technical, what's the rule? Because you look at the Mitchell Moses thing when they're going, well, the rules are the rules. He's been head contact. You're like, bro, you knock the ball on and you're rolling on the ground and you get a slap in the face. You're not HIA, so. Yeah, so I guess that's my kind of like in terms of those rules, like when they're trying to do it to the letter of the law, to the point where it's just not common sense anymore. Like the guy's already knocked the ball on, but we're going to penalize the guy for slapping him in the face because his face is on the ground. Lucky it was a slap and not a kick. I don't know. Any comments on that, or is it more just the same, just consistency?
Yeah, probably just to be more consistent, bro. I think there's this perception that right before finals, the NRL referees really crack down and try and enforce rules that may not have been enforced as harshly during the season, which is ridiculous. Like they should just be consistent throughout the season and call them if they've been implemented before the season started. Yeah, hard out. So they went that Tungle one they ended up not like disallowing the Roosters try because the first infringement was the Tungle escort. But like that's not gonna, please any of the coaches that watch that. They'd be like, well, I'd rather we just get the try, but because there was also like the disruptor happening at the same time, the try was not given. So I was thinking, no, that sucks. That because of the penalty, and then you also infringed with the disruptor. We can't give you the try. So I was like, there are going to be some terrible refereeing decisions come finals time, and they're going to wreck what would otherwise be really, really great games.
That is true. That's going to be interesting how all of these play into the final series. Let's get on some good stuff. You're all eyes. We'll come back to you, Stace. What impressed you over the weekend also?
Yeah, I might do some foreshadowing of the podcast to come, but my all eyes on me this week goes to the Warriors. This is
Nice.
bigger than anything that happened sort of on the field. There was this debate on stuff, right? So they were talking, asking New Zealanders, what would you rather see? So the All Blacks win another World Cup or the Warriors to win their first NRL Premiership. And the Warriors actually won that poll. Now, forgetting the exact numbers for a second, the fact that we're even asking this question just tells you how much the sporting landscape in New Zealand has changed. If you think back sort of 10 years ago, this isn't even a debate. The All Blacks, they're almost part of our national identity. And the Warriors are a team that had sort of pockets of supporters, but they might, sort of ruin your Sunday afternoon. But if you fast forward to now, and the Wires have invaded mainstream Kiwi consciousness in a lot of ways. So you see the jerseys everywhere. Kids know the players. Mount Smart has become one of the best sporting atmospheres in the country. And people who barely followed rugby league sort of 5 years ago are talking about the Warriors at work on a Monday morning. And there's something uniquely powerful about the Premiership because we've never had one. The All Blacks winning a World Cup would be massive. Of course it would, but we know what that feels like. Nobody knows what New Zealand looks like the morning after the Warriors win a premiership. So you imagine, I guess, the airport when they come home. You imagine they will have a parade, and you imagine what that's going to be like. But the fact that we can have a debate and a poll discussing if New Zealanders would rather the Warriors or All Blacks win the biggest prize is a credit to the excellent work that the Warriors are doing and a lot of stuff that's happening behind the scenes with the marketing team and everything behind it. So, you think, because it wasn't that long ago, that even asking a question like this would sound ridiculous. So I think that's just a credit to the Warriors and everything that they've built. So that's my all eyes on me for the week.
Nice spotting. Yeah, that's an interesting debate. What was the sway? What was the split?
53 to 47, so it was still close.
Shucks, so it's interesting. As much as you say that's even the fact to get on the map to ask that question, and it is still close because it feels like Wise Nation, but it just shows how ingrained the All Blacks and New Zealand rugby is when it comes to the All Blacks, especially All Blacks. Bobby, your all eyes.
Surprisingly enough, my all eyes goes to the Warriors for Super Saturday. Only because Saturday's games were 3 super underdog out of it, ain't got a prayer in Vegas teams up against 3 quality top 8 teams, albeit very inconsistent for the Cowboys and Sharks. But you saw it was like, what are they? Raiders are 12th and the Eels are 13th on the ladder. And they both played the Cowboys and the Sharks in the weekend. And that Raiders-Sharks game was pretty good, actually. Because, the Raiders, I've spoken about the Raiders before, real scrappy team. Even though it looks like they're down and out, they've got talent across the park. When they pull it together, it's going to be a hard day at the office. And they really did. They took the Sharks to task, man. And similarly, the Eels did the exact same thing with the Cowboys, and it was ridiculous that the Eels were even allowed to do that. But, they got nothing to play for but pride. And so there's a lot of, structure that would have been part of their game plan during the season. But, they got no chance now, so they're chancing their arm a bit. The ball's going from side to side. Seeing Junior Bolo throw these, 3-man cutout passes. I was like, what the... they were doing everything and really unconventional, difficult to defend against. And then you get the Warriors who come up against Broncos, who, again, on paper, the Broncos have got, 11 State of Origin players playing in that team. And they just looked, the Warriors were able to hold them out and then really just shut them down from kickoff, to be quite honest. It looked like the Broncos were maybe in that game for 5 minutes, the first 5 minutes, and then I don't know what the hell's wrong with the Broncos, but the Warriors were the standout team for me. not just for that Saturday, but probably across the weekend, because everyone thought that their levels would probably drop a bit after that win against Penrith the week before. But I was telling my mate at work, I was like, Sully, there's probably a lot more mana left in that haka to have some Rabbitoh stew this weekend. So I reckon there's still some leftover power in that haka from last week that's still flowing through the veins of all those Warriors boys. And man, as convincing as that victory was, I don't know if you guys caught the interviews afterwards. I don't know if the New Zealand one showed the Fox interviews. Nah, oh shit, man, you missed.
We just saw all of Roger and Sean and them.
Oh yeah. So
Back
Sean
to the studio.
was it back to the studio?
Monty.
Yeah, I had a feeling
some new lady. I don't know who that lady is. Like, we need an actual person on this. Like,
so they had cut to Vonnie and the crew, and so they had Vonnie, cool. Kev Walters, Sean was there, and Jared Warrior Hargreaves. Although I think Sean must have popped off somewhere else to go probably do the Sky one. I don't know.
It's got to go
but
do the
they interviewed
here with Monty.
Yeah, they interviewed Mitch Barnett, Fish, Capewell, nice. Wade Egan, Chanel. Oh yeah, and I think Kurt Capewell was the one that came in after Fish, but Fish was like stoic faced. He was just talking about how good it was that the boys were playing consistent, and then he was talking up Warrior Hargreaves.
Talking each other up.
Yeah, it was like, I used to look up to this guy, In my eyes, this guy and Jesse Brom are the top props ever in my eyes. They're the level that I need to get to. Like, he was hard out just talking about Warrior Hargreaves and coming up, with Jezza and Jesse Brom being the Kiwis props, and these were the guys that were. So they were great interviews, and like they've got a really good commentary team, and they're asking all the right questions, and then Kurt Capewell comes on, and then Vonnie's like, so you guys, did you see your captain? Does he ever smile? Because like Fish was just all business, he was just serious.
Just the whole time.
It was real good. Then he just walked off, was signing autographs for the fans. Kurt Capewell came in, he was like, just smiling, laughing. So it was good energy from the boys, but still super humble. Like, job's not done. It's like, yes, we won. Hard out. But also they were real pragmatic about the fact there was a win, but at what cost? They lost Metcalf. There was some injuries there, so Chance with his hip drop, and what happened to that? Shit, I didn't even check the news.
We'll get into that. We'll touch on that.
Sweet. But the Warriors for me, man, were my all eyes for the weekend.
Nice. Well, my little shout for my, I'll go a little bit different. My all eyes is Warriors Nation. Just watching that, they jumped on early on the cameras, but just seeing them coming down Caxton, they started with Aaron on the drums. Like, just seeing this guy. But man, they take over now, like just hearing it through the screen. I don't know if that's a Warriors up or Kayakele for the Bronx. Like the people looking after Suncorp, whoever's in charge there, like the work that Go Media Stadium is doing. They need to get some of them on, because you cannot lose your Suncorp, the home of Broncos, to the Finns, and now second home to the Warriors. Like, what the heck are you guys doing there at Suncorp? Right? But Wise Nation, those guys got up, like just seeing that whole community there. Like, I think they got a group all over there in Oz just based, and they just move around, either the people that are there, but it seems to be a core group that just go wherever the boys are playing. In Australia, they'll be there. And Aaron seems to be going around wherever they are and leading them. So, man.
Doing the Lord's work, Aaron.
Hard out. That Wise Nation is so strong wherever they're going over there right now. So, I mean, but we'll get into the ladder where we want to be. But, man, if we don't get those 2 home games, man, everywhere's home to the Warriors at the moment.
And just to touch on that point too, it sounds like when I saw that march happening on Caxton, you could see the police, like the lights that was at the very back end. So whoever it is would have organised that with police,
Yeah,
with
made sure
whoever the
that
local authorities are, to
old
let them
baby
know that
boys
this is
there.
going to happen. Suddenly, I was thinking, man, these guys are organised. That's not just a random turn up and like have a protest or this is going to happen.
There's a
Like they've
Facebook.
organised that
Everyone turn up at the bar.
with the authorities to make sure it's safe for their fans to be
Yeah.
marching on the street. Like it's not Magic Round. Suddenly it looked like Magic Round at the
Well,
repeat.
just the
Magic Round
takeover,
there.
and everyone knew that takeover was coming. Like the media were waiting for it, and sure enough, they came out in droves. The loudest coming against the Warriors was the guy, Broncos. By yourself, buddy. By yourself, mate. So yeah, well, up the Waz Nation, Malo, Aaron Powell. Great work there. Straight into the Waz, boys. Let's kick off with Klokstad. He's been given 2 weeks, so that's a huge miss from that hip chop. And it was an ugly one. That was a traditional hip chop. There's no getting around it. So yeah, he's been given 2 weeks. So that's a huge impact for the boys. Just testing the depth there. I guess, got it covered with Tuaupiki. Just your thoughts on Klokstad over the last few weeks as he's been coming in and filling that space.
Yeah, I've been impressed. You think Tane's done an excellent job. Almost he didn't deserve to be dropped. And then you think he gets that injury. And then Chance plays the house down and you think, oh, well, Chance can't be dropped now. And this has been a common theme throughout the Warriors this whole season. If you get injured, I mean, shucks, you can lose your jersey. There's so much competition for spots. And if you got that impression from Chance, because he had been sort of on the outer for a good couple of months, and he played like, I have to be the best version of myself and to win this jersey back. Otherwise, I'll be watching from the sidelines again. And he's been playing like that to his credit. So, the suspension is probably bad timing for him because now Tane's going to come in with that same mentality. I need to carve up. Otherwise, Chance is going to come in. And everyone wants to be part of the team. Everyone wants to play. Everyone wants to be part of the finals. And it's that competition for spots and the depth in the Warriors, which has really galvanized the side and propelled us into the top four for the majority of the season. Because you think, injuries happen and we've had our fair share. But we've seen other teams have their seasons derailed through injuries, and our side has been sort of the opposite. People have thrived once they've given the opportunity. So it's that different mentality, and the depth has created that competition for spots. So harsh on Chance. It was not harsh on Chance. I think, like you say, that was a proper hip drop. So he deserved, I'm not sure how long he got, but he deserved to be suspended. And now I'm expecting Tane to play the house down. He's got serious competition for his spots. Like if he doesn't, he could be on the outer. And he's going to play like that. I bet you he's going to be awesome. So I think, Bob, you brought that up in our group chat. I was sort of lamenting the amount of injuries we had. He said, hey, look, next man up, that's out of our mentality. And it has been. So I'm expecting Tane to be good this week.
Yeah. Bobby, we get a bit thin after Tane, though. Roger's gone, so we got Luffy, DWZ, and Tane there. Like our solid back three with no backup. I don't know who else. Like, we're digging deep into the 30 now. I don't know the other names, but I'm sure maybe there's a third fullback out there.
Well, we did get that young fella Luke Loliti from the Tigers, who's a gun on the wing.
Yeah.
So and Dallin and Luffy have deputised that fullback before if we need to. So I think credit to them. Like other teams who've picked up injuries have talked about. I'm pretty sure it was something that the Warriors coined last year when we had Metcalf out, Barnett, and was like, next man up.
Mm-hmm.
This year, all these teams that have picked up injuries was like, I've heard Critter talk about it, just got a next man up mentality. That's like, you don't have no next man up, nigga. That's something that, I'm sure there were teams before in other sports that have talked about next man up, but it's been a common theme for the Warriors because over the last few years, we've had some pretty ratchet injuries that have been compounded by having multiple starters out, not just in one position. I think this year, I think I mentioned in the group chat that we were a little bit lucky because all of our guys are pretty much healthy. It's only really been halfback that's been in and out throughout the year, with Chanel being really consistent in that standoff position, and he's been holding it down. He's been doing Chanel things, and he's taken over when he's needed to, but he hasn't needed to. He can just do what he's been doing well all year, and it's complementing whoever the halfback is. That's the one thing I'm really impressed with Chanel's game, is that it didn't matter whether it was Tamaire, didn't matter if it was Metcalf or Tana Boyd. Like, his game complements all of those guys' games. For some strange reason, Chanel has really good adaptability in his game to be able to just mold around whoever the 7 is leading our team around the field. So, people have spoken about, oh man, of course any halves combo will do well behind that pack. But I'm like, no man, have you seen how connected the boys are? Like, you saw that in the haka, but you've seen it on the field in their performances, and there's been zero distractions off the field. I haven't seen any other news of Warriors being caught in DUIs or any of that shit that you've seen some of those Australian-based clubs have been in, trouble off field, accidents, parties. Like, they've not been picked up in the news for anything that hasn't been rugby league related. Like, it's all just been about the game.
Yeah, the boys have just been professional.
And it reminds me of that time that the ABs and they implemented that. What was that rule? It was like no
dickheads.
Yeah, no dickheads rule. And that senior leadership was like, you're not just an All Black on the field, you're All Black 24/7 when you're in this environment, and off the field too. And that's something that it seems to have been created here at the Warriors with their senior leadership group. And so I think that's contributed to how well the boys have been going, just staying connected, and it's showing up on the field. So, good on them. We've got a lot of depth. There's still Jet Cleary, Luke Hansen, those boys that have been doing it in the reserve grade. So I don't know who gets the shot this week.
I think Hansen's been given the nod. Yeah, in terms of Metcalf, like, devastating for him. Suncorp, do we just not take a genuine 7 ever going forward? Metcalf last year is when he did his knee the first time, and then Tana Boyd magic around at Suncorp, and now Metcalf again at Suncorp. I feel like let's just take some random person as our 7 whenever we play there. just save everyone the hassle, because there's something about that. And it's not even the turf, it's just us. For some reason, it targets us. But a huge blow for Metcalf. And Henson's been given the nod. Jet on the bench. Your thoughts around that, Stace? How we work through this little period?
Yeah, I think Henson has been exposed to NRL before. He's played a game or a couple of games, so I'm not sure if that got him in front. I probably would have gone the other way. Not that I'm sort of, going against Webby. He's proven he's clued in. He knows what he's doing. But I think Chanel's been a beast on the left, and Luke Hansen is a left-sided guy as well. So I like Cleary, Jet Cleary. He's a right-sided guy. He's got a good kicking game as well. You think just give him a simple role, say just kick strong and defend well. Another thing that I like, you think we might touch about this a little bit later, but they got the Rabbitohs this week. Dave Fafita was a beast, but I don't know what's happened. He's playing right edge back row. So I don't know what the plan is defensively, but I'd be leaving Chanel on that left side just because of his defensive capabilities to match up against Dave Fafita, and I'd find a right-sided half. So I would have gone for Jet Cleary for those reasons. But, we spoke about this, I think, when the Warriors played the Knights. It was Hansen who got the nod. And, they played good. They won quite convincingly. And I think we said, like, hey, look, if Luke Hansen's ever caught on again, we would trust him because he did a good job in those games. So, I think you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt because the limited opportunities he's had, he did a good job for us. So maybe that got it over the line there.
Yeah, and I think it is the defense part. Like, he was a good defender. I think maybe that's the other thing, is probably the difference between him and Jet. Like, I think you're right. Like, just that right and left side that Tamati and Chanel play. But yeah, I think Chanel did a good job. Like I think it showed, like you were saying, those systems. Like he's run it so many times. That play that he played on the right edge, and he played it exactly like our sevens do. So I think that's Sean Johnson was so good on the commentary. Like just actually, I'll just change tack because that was one thing I wrote down. Do you guys like that? Just how much insight the boys Roger and Sean give about the way the boys play. Like it's cool to understand, but is it like giving away all our secrets? Like they talk about like when they break it down, and Sean's like, see, they go for this little, and he like talks about the play and how they break it down. I'm like, that's cool, but should you guys be telling everyone? I don't know.
I think they got proper video analysis with the other clubs, so
when they do
those guys are smart enough to figure it out for themselves. I think that's good for like us, the common fans who like those breakdowns and saying, "Oh, okay." Then I was having a few beers. I didn't pick up on what was going on and the finer nuances of the plays. And you can see, especially, I love when Sean breaks it down because he makes it quite simple for average Joes like me to understand the complexities of the play. And, this play set up that play, which set up this play, which is how they got the try type thing, and all the video analysis that the clubs do. So there's a lot of hard work that goes in behind the scenes. And I love that. I love that you can take something complex and simplify it for the average fan. So exactly. Sean does that really well.
Yeah. Probably the forwards that work, like you mentioned Fish, Capes, all of those guys coming in, they've been beasts. Like you look at the names that we played, like I guess, like you said, coming against the Broncos with nothing to lose, nothing to win either. But they should have, like the names there, Carrigan, Xavier, and Haas. They should have ripped up, and the boys really stood up. Who's really standing up for you in our forward pack? Like I see Aaron, just his ability, just the way he knows when to run, when to pass. He's been so good. I don't know. It's just a forward pack as a whole. But just what's impressed you as a whole out of those guys, Bobby?
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing that you've touched on there, bro, is that our forwards are moving as a unit. Like, it's not like Fish or Barney are way above levels above the next guys coming off the bench. Like when Yeremia Toyava come off the bench or Demi comes off the bench, like those guys are keeping that intensity right up there. So our starting boys get a break, they get a rest. But man, the intensity and the impact of our bench players that are coming on to replace them doesn't drop. And because of that same level, like they're not going to carry as strongly, I suppose. But what they do is they'll carry consistently. It'll be 10 meters every carry, and then they defend strongly as well. That's probably been a highlight of the Warriors this year, is that their defense has been outstanding. Like, yeah, right across the board. Like you get the same stuff from, like Capewell. He's probably still up there for like the most missed tackles in the team. But the amount of stuff that Capes does outside of missing like a few tackles is like he's always pushing the line up. He's always putting pressure on the kicker. He's always getting up in defenders' faces. Like his line speed is the same from kickoff right to the end. Like him and Jackson Ford, man, like they push right to the 80th minute, and that's where I think Capewell's contribution is probably sometimes overlooked when you think, he's not as fast when they put him at centre, or he's always got missed tackle stats super high. But it's the other stuff off the ball. Also, man, errors. Like our forwards carry the ball heaps, but there's very, very, very few errors this year that I've
good
seen.
Skill level,
in the
like real good skill. Like just these little offloads, little tip-ons. I'm like, man, it's like real like risky stuff sometimes, but they're just playing at a level like, man, these guys are on.
And not 50-50 anymore. Like some of those offloads in the past might have been real low percentage plays, but like you don't see those low percentage plays anymore from the boys, and you don't need to, because everyone is constantly keeping us on the front foot, whether it's Aaron, whether it's Mitch, whether it's Fish. Like, the second row boys are doing really well. Like, I've been super impressed with Jacob Laban in there.
Yeah, his work. I think that's Capel's impact on him. You see him keep moving like he's like an Origin player. You see him like throughout the whole game, he'll just keep tracking, and then someone will cut back in, and he's there. And he's not just there; like, he's mongrel when he can. Like, once he butchers someone, he really mongrels him, and I like that with him.
And again, that's the influence of those senior players. Like, those boys that are playing prop or in the forward pack have had guys like Adam Finnell-Blake playing his best footy in his career at the Warriors, and so they've been watching him play. Then guys go into like Kiwis camps and that sort of thing, and then they get the experience of all those other like starting props and just learning from them. Fish now coming and bringing in all of his, not just his skills as a footy player, but man, his mana, his professionalism, and his levels of training and what he expects from you as captain. Having those guys, I don't think I was too convinced last year with that co-captain thing, and I think I mentioned that early last year.
Yeah.
But this year, man, that co-captain thing has not diminished Fisher Harris like it did last year, because I think when Mitch went down and Fish was captaining by himself, that I felt was a big distraction in his game, because he was carrying the load, not only as just being the only captain because Barnett was injured, but then he had to perform on the field as well. And I think that did distract him from his game a little bit. And if you compare Fish to how he is now to what he was doing last year at the same time, like, I reckon this year's Fish with Mitch Barnett there is way better than last year's Fish, who was trying to carry stuff all by himself. And so
he looks comfortable now. He looks like
hard out. He's grown into the leadership role. His time is leading the Kiwis is probably he's matured heaps of his leadership. And man, Webby just has a way of bringing out the best in the boys, and it's cool to see this non-Islander, non-Māori, this Palangi guy. He's doing, bro, he's doing the exact same shit that Daniel Anderson did in 2002. That's the sort of vibe that I get from him, like, where he's understanding the stuff that's important to the Brown brothers, and he's bringing the best out of their game. So hopefully it'll replicate another grand final this year. So
Stace, these forwards feel different, or is it just short memories from these Warriors fans? Like, we've had great forward packs. Like, Bob talks about that 2002 pack. You go to when we're led by the great Steve Price as a leader with all that experience leading our forwards. Then I don't know, like, what's different? Like, there's a difference.
Yeah, I think Bob hit the nail on the head. The leadership and the mana that these guys have. You think about Fisher Harris and Mitch Barnett and Cook Capewell. These are real leaders of men. You think who the main beneficiaries of that style is? It's the Eddie Yeremia Toyavas and the Tana Smith, Jacob Laban. These guys watch these guys, and it's like the professionalism that these guys bring to the game, and they're soaking it all up. So you think, if we had to rely on Eddie Yeremia Toyava or Tana Smith or whoever, you trust him to do a job, and there's no drop off. And I feel that that's the impact, the biggest impact that we've seen from these leaders. Because, I mean, you think about before, Jackson Ford was there or thereabouts leading the Dally M's. He was one of our best forwards for the whole year. He gets injured and we haven't missed a beat. Those young guys have stepped up. I don't know how they're going to fit everyone in. And it comes back to what I talked about before with the depth. But I mean, this is sort of, when we signed Fisher Harris, you think that he had to let Finnell-Blake go. And at the time, I thought Finnell-Blake was a bit ahead in terms of playing ability, but I thought Fisher Harris was a far better leader. And we're seeing that leadership, and that's rubbing off a lot on those younger guys. They're far way ahead than they would have been without sort of the leadership that they're getting. And I think we've got some of the best young forwards in the game. And that's, you got to give credit to the leadership group that's sort of teaching them the ways and showing them professionalism and showing them what it takes to be week in, week out quality footballers. So the younger generation has definitely benefited. And Bob, you're right. There's no drop off. It doesn't bother me if whoever's on there, I just trust them to do a job. I think that everyone knows their role. Everyone can do a great job for us. And that's a credit to the leadership group. So, yeah, exciting times to be a Warriors fan for sure.
We've kind of covered off all the areas. I left this for last because it has been a concern and kind of talked about here or thereabouts. Over the last couple of weeks, we have looked great in the centres. But a couple of those tries that led in from the Panthers game was Ali shooting up out of the line. And I guess these are little things to nitpick, but how are we with the centre pairing, especially with Lecker's been playing out of his skin? Again, we've got amazing forwards, and this is one way to fit them in, as you take one of your second rows and throw him in at centre just so he can be there because he's so talented. Is our centre pairing a concern heading into the deep into the finals?
Do you want to take that one, Bob?
I guess it has been. It has been a concern. Like our boys playing centre for the majority of the year, Pompey and Tawa, have been super inconsistent. I'll be honest there. And their defensive lapses, sometimes they drift in and out of game. And you can tell. Whereas Lecker, when you play him at centre, he is constantly active.
Oh, no, yeah.
Like it always seems like Lecker is looking for the ball, or he's constantly trying to achieve something with every single hit up. There's none of this stuff where, this is stuff I used to get pissed off at Adam Pompey about. I mean, he's a super consistent player, but sometimes the consistency is in that he's inconsistent, and he'll carry the ball up, and then as soon as someone wraps arms around him, there's no leg drive, there's no post-contact meters drive or anything to try and stay on his feet. So the guy falls straight to the ground. I think he's trying to get a quick play the ball, sure. But it's like, dude, just keep pumping and try and get some more meters or something, or make the defense tired from trying to tackle you. It looks like the defense is not expending any energy whatsoever when they tackle Adam Pompey. And it's always one-on-one. With Lecker, they understand his ability. And so Lecker is drawing in defenders, making the winger unsure whether he's going to pass, making the centre unsure. And he's attracting, he's like got that Jonah Lumu vibe where people just are attracted to his type of dynamic play. Like you don't know what Lecker's going to do. Is he going to pass? Is he going to try and gas you on the outside? Was he just going to bowl straight through you? And that I think is what puts Lecker over players like Pompey, because Pompey can be a bit one-dimensional at times with his attack, and his attack doesn't worry defenders. I don't feel like they don't have to be too concerned about Pompey gassing around the outside because he's not very quick, or barging straight through you because he's not as strong as Lecker is. Like Lecker's got super powerful, low like core strength. His leg drive is amazing. So that's the stuff that I think needs to keep Lecker in the team at centre. Ali's a bit more of a mixed bag. Like I can't see anyone else who can replace Ali at the moment. You know, I've heard Rockaberry's name get chucked out there. I've heard Chance's name get chucked out there when Tana was at fullback. But I think we just need Ali to play like he did in the weekend against the Broncos. Like he's got a really good combo going on at the moment with Dylan. Like they have a real good connection, and so I think to try and change that now, it'd be too difficult to try and cement a really good combination. And those guys have been a good combination for the majority of the year, albeit inconsistent on Ali's part with like what you highlighted of him flying up out of the line and doing some stupid things. Like at the end of last week's game, I thought there was a little bit of a drop-off in our centres. I think we saw that the week before against the Panthers, like Lecker letting in like a really easy try on his side. Those guys just need to tighten that up to make sure that their effort is there for the whole 80 minutes and not to drop off in the last 10 or the last 5, like that could cost you a grand final. That kind of effort drop off.
Yeah, Stace, concerns on that dip?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think similar to Bob, I think these are probably the 2 best guys we got. So we're just going to have to run with them as it stands now. I'm sort of going to think of it in the terms of a cricket analogy, right? So if you watch like high level cricket, Test cricket, and all the rest of it, they always say in the commentary box, like, if the batter's there, you should do whatever he likes the least. So if he doesn't like facing spin bowling, you put a spin bowler on. If he hates fast bowling, you put a fast bowler on straight away. And you think about that if you're playing against the Warriors and you're playing centre. That you got Pompey, he'll run it up, but like you say, I don't know if he's trying to get a quick play the ball or whatever, but he's sort of easy to tackle because he tries to get to the ground quicker. You think about if you're marking against Liquor, man, he's trying to run through, he's going to step you, feed you off. Like, that's the worst thing. You'd rather take Pompey. It's probably easier for you. So the worst thing from the opposition side, in my opinion, would be to try to mark up against Liquor because of how difficult he is to handle. I think he's still got a few defensive issues like you touched on, Bob, as well. He is playing out of position. He's not really familiar with playing centre at that level, so that might be a part of it. But, I mean, I do think these are the 2 best guys we got. And if I'm sort of going to backtrack a little bit here, but if you look at the forwards, we're selecting different types of forwards because we've always had strong forward packs, but we've got hard-working, a lot of guys who are doing the 1%ers as well. Lekka's sort of that sort of exception to the rule where he's got a lot of X factor. We've always had these X factor guys like Ali Lautiti and these types of forwards. I mean, but just the forwards now have got a lot of like, I'm going to get in the grind and do all that stuff for all these young guys coming through. Yeah. And I wonder if Lekka might end up being a longer-term centre, just sort of being an X-factor type of centre, just going forward, just sort of thinking about that sort of stuff.
Nice. The Warriors well on track to, I think I called it maybe that they needed to win 3 or 4 to stay in the top 4. Looks like they'll make the top 4 now. Possibly a couple more wins to get that top 2. It really depends now on other results. Like even if we win all the way, I think the other teams could surpass us. Opportunity. So I think there's currently NRL are trying to pressure the Warriors to move one of those. If we get one of the home semis, to move it to Eden Park, and Cameron George has just said no. That's like trying to tell the Roosters go play at something like, tell one of those smaller teams to go play at the big grounds. So Cameron George said, no, we can fit everyone here at Go Media. It's enough. That's the policy. We're sweet. Your thoughts on that? Should we be, getting the capacity, making it a big deal here, celebrating it here? Or we're happy with Go Media? Stace?
Yeah, I'm happy with Go Media. That's our spiritual home ground. I'd hate to think if we moved it to Eden Park, hypothetically, and we lost,
yes.
You wouldn't say that that's necessarily the reason or not. But I know that there'd be a lot of people would be in uproar thinking we should have played that in Mount Smart type thing. And I suppose this is, if I do a parallel with Super Rugby, right, you got to sort of follow the money. So when it comes to the playoffs, the NRL gets all the money from the ground takings. This is where they're coming from, trying to get the bigger stadiums because that benefits them a lot more. Whereas in Super Rugby, right, the home team gets all the ground taking. So they're more than happy to make those moves and play in the bigger stadiums and all the rest of it because they get the benefits of it. So if you follow the money, the Warriors get no benefits financially from playing at Eden Park. So they're not going to move. It's the NRL who get the benefits. So that's where the pressure comes from. So it's really about the money. And if the Warriors aren't getting any financial benefits, I don't see them wanting to make the move. And you're right, they've got certain criteria. It's got to be at least 25,000 or something like that to qualify for holding it as a home ground for the playoffs. And I think the Mount Smart is sort of just over that. So Cameron George is right. It's within the threshold, so we're going to stay there. And they're not getting any financial benefits, so they're not going to move.
So, rightly so too, Bobby.
It's a commercial decision, but then I think it's also a way to try and upset the Warriors' Premiership hopes. It's like a double-edged sword that will only benefit an Australian team. Like they get money from having a bigger venue at Eden Park, but then it's like, well, if we're able to kill two birds with one stone, get more money and knock the Warriors out should they lose, then sweet. And like, you're right. Like, there's no Australian-based team that would go and host their semi-final or whatever at not their home ground. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And
I think Shark Park's pretty small. I can imagine that Shark Park, like because they got a good home following, and it's a pretty small ground. I think of maybe 16,000 or something. So,
well, they were able to hold a final at Shark Park during renovations. So you said 16,000. It was down to 10,000. This is good, sort of 2-3 years ago, and they were able to win a ruling where they were able to play there, just because that is their spiritual home ground. It's basically, you toil away for 27 rounds.
Exactly.
You don't want to be giving up home ground advantage that you've
with all
worked
your
ass
fans
off
and
for.
everyone, everything you know about your grounds and stuff. So.
Man, Eden Park is not a rugby league ground either. Like, that's a terrible stadium.
Yeah, so far from the players, you're so disconnected.
Yeah, it's like when they have games in Perth and they hold them at the Wacker. It's like that ground is designed for cricket. that stadium, like when they put the league field on it, it looks ridiculous.
Before we move on from the Wires, there's a nice little chat about the Wires, but you touched on that.
Wrapping up.
Like, but you might do that against the Wires. You might do this against. So next year we have the Perth Bears joining the competition. In 2028 we have PNG Chiefs join the competition. And so I go back to the NRL scriptwriters. Can they allow these teams that are struggling to make a team, like Perth, like they're struggling to put a decent team together, and people are like, what kind of comp is this going to be if these guys come in with like a Baraka team? I'm like, what's going on? But the team, like our team's been here for 30 years now. Surely we can't let these other teams come into the comp without us winning a premiership. Can that happen? Can we say this comp, these two new teams have a chance when the last team that joined is still 30 years in the making of trying to get there? That's how hard it is to win a premiership in this competition. Yet they're thinking, let's bring on another team, and the broadcasting rights are saying, by 2029, you've got another team lined up as well. Can this continue?
Well, the Storm joined in 98, and then they won a title in 99. So...
The Stormers wanted Melbourne to be a league town, so they made that happen.
Yes.
And I think it's all down to recruitment. Like, if you look back at that 99 Storm team, like, that was a gun-ass team, man, made up of Kiwi and Australian internationals, and flipping talismanic Tawaraniko. And they had Glenn Lazarus, who was like probably the best state of origin prop in history. Like, that team was amazing. And, you know, it was right around the time where I think rugby league was evolving into the game, into the infancy of the game that we see now, that it's taken 20 years to sort of develop through rule changes, through positional shifts. You know, we don't see fat props anymore, or like big burly props that only last 10 minutes. You know, not saying that Lazo was like that. That guy was like complete opposite. He was this big fat dude that could run for like 60, 65 minutes. And I was like, silly. But is it possible? I think if they recruit the right players, man, and it's the right environment, it could happen. But that's probably the difference. Melbourne only had to travel a little way to Sydney and Brisbane and North Queensland, whereas the Warriors joined and we got to travel all the way from New Zealand. Perth's now joining and they got to travel all the way from Western Australia. I think they're going to have the worst travel because PNG is not too far from North Queensland, so it's the distance. It might think, shit, it's another country, but They're probably closer than Perth. Perth is like
Yeah,
the whole
it's
length
like
of New Zealand away,
It's a
whereas
long fight across
PNG,
the side, yeah.
yeah, PNG is probably about the same as the Warriors traveling in from Auckland. So, them traveling down to Sydney or traveling down to Melbourne is about a similar distance. But geographically, Perth, I don't think they've got a shot. Like if we've got issues with our travel and our scheduling and that sort of stuff, and it's been talked about. Webby sort of hinted at it this year with travel and the schedule and the closeness of games from back-to-back weeks. And, that was sort of something that they hinted at that last loss against the Doggies, where we looked a little bit flat, where the Doggies sort of came out and just did that freaking hot potato ball, and they were offloading all over the place.
Those offloads killed us, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? They did kill us, and you can't really coach defensively for that kind of playing. But so that kind of offloading game is something that the Warriors were really good at back in the days. But it's super 50-50 at best. The Doggies were just really lucky and fortunate that most of their offloads went to hand. But that game could have gone terribly wrong for the Doggies had the first couple of offloads just, that plan would have been abandoned if those offloads didn't go to hand and they didn't upset the Warriors' playing style with that second phase. Then it would have been, and then now what? So I don't think teams can depend on that as a strategy to beat the Warriors just because the Dogs did at that time. It'll be different. But for mine, I don't think the Perth Bears or the PNG Chiefs are gonna win a title before the Warriors. I don't think so. Just because of the travelling, it's too much of a factor. I think the Wires have gotten so used to the travel now, so it's going to take teams a bit of I reckon at least 5 years to try and get used to the travelling and all that sort of stuff and how it's going to impact on their team.
Stace?
Well, I'll give the PNG Chiefs a bigger shout than I'll give the Perth Bears because the Perth Bears look like they're assembling borderline wooden spoon roster. At least you look at PNG Chiefs. They've got those tax-free exemptions, and that allows them to attract some high-quality players. So I know they're in the early phases of their recruitment, but they've got the beginnings of a decent lineup. Yeah, so I mean, I think a lot of it. I think Bobby would have a real good point about the Melbourne Storm and how they were able to come through and look who they've become. How we can fast forward 20, 30 odd years or however long it's been, and you can look back in history in hindsight and see, shucks, these guys have been a beast. But they had Frank Panisi, who was their general manager, or whoever it was. They had Gavin Orr, I can't remember, I think it was Gavin Orr, who was the top recruitment guy at the Broncos. So they had these great senior leaders who helped to build that club and build the culture of that club. And I think that's going to be more important than the roster. You think if you get a team like the Perth Bears, if they've got a culture similar to what the Panthers have, they can be competitive with an average squad, but if they're closer to the Tigers in terms of their culture, then it's going to be a long season. And I think that comes down to the leadership group. I'm not sure who they've got in their senior management team, but if it's poor, it's going to be long. And I'll put that on both teams. So it's not so much about the recruitment of the players, even though that's a factor. I think that the exec, there's that old saying that I keep bringing up there, the fish rots from the head down. So if the head is strong, man, they can lead them to higher things. And we see that now playing out with the Warriors. We've finally got Andrew Webster, we've got Andrew McFadden, who's the recruitment guy. We've got great guys at the top leading the team, and that's filtering down to the playing systems all the way through. So it wasn't until we got that side sorted that the Warriors turned a corner, and I'm going to put that on these new clubs as well. Is there enough elite administrators and all that going around? Time will tell. They've got Michael Chamis up there, who was a media guy who's now
a media guy.
He's the general manager there, so he's doing a good job. He's getting some guys there, but how that plays out long term, we're going to see. So I now criticise the Roosters, even though that looks bad. in hindsight, because they're top of the table, about trying to buy a premiership and get these top quality players all the time. And I'll put PNG in that same category. But if they've got great leaders at the top, they can definitely pull it off. But I mean, yeah, that's where it sort of begins and ends for me.
Sticking with the PNG Chiefs, the latest signing, To'o, making his way over. I don't know if that's much of a surprise. There was a lot of murmurs, and we kind of assumed with Romy going there that To'o would head along. You happy with that signing? You guys shocked?
No, I'm not shocked. I think he's been getting paid unders at the Panthers to try to stay loyal to that system and win all those premierships. He's won all those premierships. Now I guess it's time for him to get paid. And you think, Luai was his best man at his wedding. I think we spoke about it on the podcast. He gave that speech, that crusty speech. But that just shows how close they are. So you think once Luai signed, he's going to be in To'o's ear, Crichton's ear, all of his mates' ears. So I think it's interesting.
Young families should be interesting, that compound.
Yeah. So they've got the first, I guess, Pan Pacific rugby league team there, and there's a real strong Samoan Pacific identity developing in PNG. So that's quite interesting from that side. I suppose that's where our podcast comes from as well. So a good signing for sure.
Just to go off track a bit, but I heard something earlier in the week about the PNG, and who was talking about it? Maybe it was Flano or one of those guys. They seem to be on the inside and so they were saying it was like a geographic decision. And before PNG, they were actually looking at Tonga or Samoa to actually base this team. So I don't know if it became a politics thing, but that was interesting that all the boys are going there, because I thought this was them kind of figuring it out so they could go and do the same in Samoa. Bobby, you happy with To'o going over there? Hanging with the Wolves, finally getting payday?
Yeah, I reckon. For these young island boys, I don't know if To'o's young anymore, but for the island boys, man, you've got to go and you got to go make hay while the sun is shining, while your value is still quite up there. Like, yes, he got dropped from Origin this year, but he's still a quality winger. And To'o's, it's probably not just money. It's probably the challenge of going over there, and the prestige of a new team, and the novelty of a new team, and what you can bring to a club in terms of challenging all the established organizations and clubs that are in the NRL at the moment. That's probably a major thing too, is the opportunity to try and stick it to all of these teams that have been around for ages, and to try and win it within the first 2 years. Like, there's all this talk that the Chiefs are going to be able to take out the comp in 2 years. And I'm thinking, if they keep recruiting quality players, like who they got, AJ, Lomax, To'o, Luai, and that prop from Super League.
Well, yeah, Super League prop. And that's where they're reserving 007. 007, they are keeping hold of, and we're not sure what's going to happen. So this is something we chatted about before. Does that 007, if they don't get their man, is the 007 thereafter possibly coming to the Warriors? Apparently they're chasing hard. That 007 is reserved, and at the moment it sounds like it's reserved for either Sammy Walker or Nathan Cleary. Both those guys go November 1 conversations, and their respective clubs are trying to chase them to get it done before them. I don't know, Bobby, your thoughts? If we don't get it done this year, you reckon 007 comes to the Wars?
I mean, it's a nice to have really at the moment, but if I'm being honest, I'd rather we win a premiership with the players that we've blooded and that we've got in the system already. I mean, yeah, that would be great to have a Nathan Cleary in the team, even a Sammy Walker. Like, that guy's come leaps and bounds since he first debuted at the Roosters. But yeah, I want us to be able to do it off the back of the players that we've got currently and the system that we've got currently. I think that's the system that we've got and the style of play that we've got and how the boys are playing is the thing that the New Zealand public are responding to, and the reason why we're 53% when it comes to those questions about between us winning the Premiership and the ABs winning the World Cup is the fact that the product as a whole, like everything that the Warriors are doing, their home games, their leadership, the quality of their wins and how they're performing on the field, all of that non-newsworthy crappy shit that they don't do off the field, all of that is contributing to them becoming this really, it's an iconic movement at the moment. Like what started in 23 with the up the wires, it's just evolved and it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger every year since then. And then you've got guys like Aaron and his mate Richard, or whatever his name is, that are just attending all of the away games over in Australia. And, you know, opposition teams and the NRL too in general probably won't mind. Well, the NRL in general, maybe not opposition teams, but, you know, now that Stace talks about gate takings and things going to the NRL love the Warriors fans over in Australia because normally, you know, you see like Sharks versus Souths or whatever, and it'll be this many fans. Then you've got the following week Sharks versus the Warriors, and the game's almost sold out. So it's like, hey, similarly with the Broncos last week, man, Suncorp was packed full of Warriors jerseys everywhere. It's super foreign to those Aussie teams as to why there's such a massive movement amongst the fan base with the Warriors at the moment. But I reckon it's been building since 23 when that whole up the wires thing started. You know, Rog talked about it to Vasashek when he was in the AB system at the time and trying his hand at rugby union in 2023. And then when he re-signed to come back, and he was like, holy shit, like this up the wires was humongous. So while he was in rugby union and that movement kind of picked up, you know, Tohu Harris's last year, Sean Johnson was on his sort of end of his sort of seasons, you know, the appeal to come back was humongous for RTS to come back from union to league. And so the stuff that the boys are doing now is just, it's phenomenal, man. And that's the reason why we're on this bandwagon of this could be our year, boys. This really could be our year. So, yeah.
Stace, your thoughts on that? Like, yeah, you like, don't tease me with that stuff. Like, let's just get it done and talk about that in November.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. We know that Nathan, he was over here when his father, Ivan, was the coach, and he openly admits he grew up a Warriors fan. He, Sean Johnson, he said, was his favourite player. He said something interesting a couple of weeks ago when he was linked to the Warriors. He said he'd never come over here because then he'd take Jet's spot. So if Jet leaves now, is that potentially leaving it open that
wants the release? Yeah.
Now that, Jet's asked for a release, now he won't be taking Jet's spot. So I wonder if there's sort of some symmetry there, because I think Jet might come over if he goes over to the Panthers, they might try to groom him to be the longer term 7 there, and which would allow Nathan to sort of move on. I do wonder about the Papua New Guinea money. Like, they have purposely left that 007 jersey open, and sort of under the precursor that they're going to announce this big signing, which comes down to the two guys you mentioned, Nathan Cleary and Sammy Walker. So I sort of don't think that Nathan Cleary, he's earned millions upon millions of dollars. His fiance or whatever is that soccer lady, and she's earning more than him. So his family, him and his wife and the kids are going to be rich as hell. I don't think that money is going to be the factor, but if the Warriors give him $1.5 million per se, and then you say the PNG Chiefs are offering him $5-6 million with the third party deals, I mean, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. So, I mean, I actually hope it happens, just because, man, we've suffered enough. 30 years is long enough to wait. I don't care. Get Nathan and just get it done. I'll be happy with that, you know. I understand your point, Bob, and it's a good point, but I just want to get it done now. I just want to just win by any means
getting
necessary.
any younger, man.
And you think if you put Nathan Cleary in our team, I'm saying it's almost guaranteed. If our current team was Nathan Cleary, it's over, man. We win it. So he's that good. And we saw what was it last 2 weeks ago when the Panthers played the Warriors. Like, we were at the game, the Panthers got dominated. He was playing on the back foot the whole game. He almost pulled it out of the bag like he did against the Bronx in 2023. He just started pulling out these amazing moves, and you think, shucks, he's that good. He could, you put him in any team, I think they'd make the top 8. But you put him in the Warriors team with that forward pack, man, the mind boggles about what's possible. So, yeah.
Looking for
You're
a transfer
probably
next
right.
week?
And to be honest, man, I reckon if they had more time when Cleary scored that try and was coming back, it would have been danger signs, man. Because he's like Stace is right. Like the quality of player that Cleary is. Like as soon as he scored that try, kicked the goal, and then it was like suddenly
Just switched on.
that,
He's like,
that confidence
slow
that he
down,
had,
slow down.
the confidence he had took me back to Otahu College versus Liston, Frisity 95. When we were up 20-0 and already Ai'i was running back to halfway. Nelo, every time they scored. I was like, damn you, Orene.
Yeah. Nice, boys. Hey, before we wrap up, one topic that I want to touch on, and it's a bit touchy for the boys. There is a chance. Do we think it could happen with 2 games separating them now? The Broncos pick up another spoon. Bobby?
It is entirely possible and is in the realm of possibility, bro. Like it's not far-fetched now, especially with the kind of football that the Dragons have been playing the last few weeks. Like I don't know what's happened with the Dragons, but they've been really steely in their game. Like you saw in that game when they played the Warriors here at home.
Yeah.
So they could have upset the Warriors in that game. Like
2 points, yeah.
Yeah, man. Like it was looking like the Dragons were playing like they were Premiership contenders in that game. And since that game, they've had some good performances, close losses, or they've really piled on some good wins. And like you look at how many they've won 4 games this year, and those 4 games have been like they deserve to win those games. Like they were the more dominant team. They were the team that sort of looked like they wanted to win the game more. And sure, it's been at the back end of the season, but like some of their losses in the last 6-7 weeks have been super close. So, man, it's all uphill. Like, I reckon they're going to struggle potentially against the Sharks, and then in their game, not this round, but I think in the next one. Yeah, who have they got? Yes, Sharks, and then who's their last one? Oh, they've got the Doggies next.
Yeah.
So that might be, but I don't know. Like, oh no, they don't have Sharks. It's the Broncos that have the Sharks. Oh. They've got Doggies, and they've got Manly.
They've got Doggies, Manly, and Eels.
And Eels, yeah.
So a couple more finally
So
so they cancel each other out. All 3 of these
It's super
teams.
possible that the Broncos could finish with the spoon, which is it's unfathomable to think that at the start of the year they were talking back to back, and now it's like this is the largest fall from grace that any team has had in terms of a premiership defense. So yeah, you can talk about the teams in the past that have done it who haven't made the top 8, but I think it was Doggies in 04, and then there was another team. Oh, Tigers, 05. Yeah. But this is worse than not making the top 8 if you end up with a spoon the year after you've just won the premiership. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on at the Bronx.
No one does. Oh, Madge does. He just doesn't want to tell anyone. Did you see their press conference? They asked him, like, seems to be a lot of confusion, like, what's going wrong? I know what's going wrong. Like, oh, well, will you tell us? No, I'll keep that to myself. Well, you didn't tell the team either, because that's why you guys haven't sorted anything. You're keeping these things to yourself. Like, what the hell? Stace, is there a possibility? Well, I guess there's the possibility. Do you think it could possibly happen? Are they playing that terribly they don't get another one?
I don't think they get another one. I think that's going to happen. The question is, can the Dragons do enough to overhaul them? Part of me, I know we've got Broncos supporters in our chat and on this podcast, so I feel for them a lot. But part of me does want to see it happen, just to see what that's like to go from winning the Premiership to winning the wooden spoon in 12 months. Like, just to see that unfold, in my lifetime would be, man, it'd be quite a surreal experience. But I'm with you, Bob. That seems like unfathomable. That's the word that I was thinking of as well. I'm like, how the hell does that happen? What is going wrong? And you think about some of the players. We talk about Payne Haas as being potentially the greatest prop who's ever lived. He's in that category. But there's a possibility that he could have won 2 wooden spoons during his career, which it just seems, unbefitting of a guy of that caliber. And I keep coming back to that because that roster, there is no way that's a wooden spoon roster. So you look at the Dragons, you think, yeah, they deserve to be close to the bottom. They don't have the cattle. The Tigers, you think, yeah, they're Gaia. The Titans, I'll put them as a bottom team. But you look at the Broncos, you think, why are you down there? That roster should not be down there. So there's a lot going on there. I mean, people keep pointing to Payne Haas and saying, hey, look, he's leaving for a reason. It's not just about, I want to relocate my family, or the reasons he spoke about in the media. There's some deeper issues at play here. And maybe that's true. I mean, Madge got the job done, and credit to him. He won them a premiership. But we've seen throughout his history, man, he has a short shelf life, his style. He will burn the wick at both ends and make you flip and work your ass off. And that will get you that spike to get you to where you need to be. But it starts wearing thin after a while. So I just wonder, I don't know, maybe Madge has outstayed his welcome. But then you think, Seabold won a wooden spoon with him. Kevin Walters wasn't the right one. Now this guy's not the right one. I don't know if they have coaching issues, if they've got other issues at play, because you'll be up to your 4th coach if you go that route. So without any answers. So there's something deeper going on there. Maybe it's not just one problem. Maybe there's a multitude of issues going on there. But I mean, a roster like that shouldn't even be in this conversation.
I don't want to drag it up, but it's like, how much?
No, drag it up.
How much? But that's the thing. How much problems has that premiership caused them? Because it's almost like the premiership has kind of like just patched over the problems, and that can kind of sustain you for a couple of years to, like, even the boys, like, you kind of know that it hurts that they're not in the finals conversations. But at the same time, I feel like underneath you're like, hey, but at least we won last year. And you can kind of hold on to that for a couple of years. So it's almost like it's because they weren't consistent. Like, they caught fire. They had superstars like Reece do Reece stuff, and they won a premiership. But no hard work, no working the whole 27, like what it takes to win a premiership. And so it's almost like just, like I look at those stars, like I don't know if Reece or Ezra will ever catch light again, and it's almost like their love for the Broncos, like the way they play, like Selwyn Cobber, these guys that were there, and all I ever wanted to do was play for this club, and like Walsh left us because his dream was to be a Bronco. You got Bing over there, like all these guys wanting to wear that jersey, and now it's just a job where they're like, oh, I'll go wherever there's money now, like. I kind of want a premiership. It just feels flat, like the way when you're that young and you kind of want this thing, now it's like, I got that thing. It's kind of, what's my next mountain? Because and it almost seems like that. Like these young talents that fluke premiership are like, oh, I don't know what I want to do anymore now. It's kind of the big mountain I wanted to spend the next 10 years climbing, and I did it in the first kind of few years. So I don't know, like, whether that's part of the problem too, that hunger. I don't know. You can't blame that though. Like, I guess it's culture, because the Panthers It's not like they were maonga after 2, 3, 4 premierships. And so, yeah, I think that comes, like you said, Stace, rots from the head. Bobby, any more on the Bronx? You finished kicking them?
Well, I don't know. Like,
Nah.
they need to do a review of what's happened. Like, this is not kicking
There is
the
a review.
Broncos. Just-
Apparently, they're doing a review. And so that's where people are like having a suck. It's like, what happens? Doesn't help us this year. But it's like, well, yeah, because you guys got problems and you say you know what's the problem, but obviously not.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. Like, I thought the boys. I mean, I thought the team would do way better than where they're at now. Like, you know, I honestly thought they had the potential to go back to back. And even though the boys were talking about it at the start of the year, and I was poo-pooing it and going, no, man. In the back of my mind, I was thinking, first, these guys, hard out. These guys are so right there. But then when that super early announcement at the start of the season that Payne Haas was leaving to go to Souths, I don't know if that caused anything to similar to like the Jerome Luai one. Like, hey guys, I'm off to PNG. And the Tigers form just shot through the floor. I don't know if it did, but I still think them changing their logo after they won last year, for me, that's probably the biggest thing. Like, why did you change your logo? Like, that's your premiership winning logo. I don't know. It just felt wrong, man. Like, yeah, like they're trying to modernize it and shit. And I was like, well, why? Why are you trying to modernize it for? I think, the Wires are going to have this little pukana face dude for life. Like, I can't see them changing that. Yeah, I don't know. And then it just stemmed from that, and all sorts of things just fell out of the Broncos in terms of not rugby league news stories this year. Which is, it's not like any other year in the last few years. There've always been some off the field shit happening with the Broncos, whether it's in Bali with them fighting each other. Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult to explain. Like, yes, I'm super happy that the Broncos aren't there because of, but on the other hand, it is a little bit sad because, you want players, and I think about Payne Haas because he's got to come to Toa Samoa at the end of the year. And what kind of state of mind is that guy going to be in after having such a disappointing season? Like, he was the man last year playing for Toa after coming off the back of that premiership. And, like, it looked like he could just carry the whole team himself last year. So, what kind of form is he going to be in? And what kind of form are the other Samoan boys that play at the Broncos going to be in? Or the Kiwis boys that are playing for the Broncos at the moment? Like, yes, they are top-tier caliber players, but, man, their season has been anything but. So I don't know how that's going to impact on them when they head into the World Cup, or whether their World Cup coaches now have to pick up the pieces that their NRL coaches kind of just left them with. Yeah. That's probably my biggest thing. Please, Toa. Please do it, Toa. You've got this.
Just on that. So there's this real mental fragility with the Broncos. So you think 2023 they were sort of 20 minutes away from winning that premiership. Then they fell off a cliff 2024. 2025 they rise up again and win it. Now 2026 they've fallen off the cliff. There's the highs and lows of the Bronx. So you talked about that that logo change, but they also changed the logo way back in at the end of the 99 season, so leading into the 2000 season, which they won. And some of those players that were part of that team talked about the logo change as an opportunity for them to sort of rebuild the Broncos and sort of add to their own legacy. So this was like Darren Lockyer was part of that team, Takeri and Sailor were in there, Gordon Tallis and these guys, and that's how they viewed that logo change as sort of, this is the new Broncos and this is our opportunity to cement our legacy and be part of the ever-changing dynamics of the Broncos. So it's the different mentality, which I find quite interesting, because I feel that this was an opportunity for like the Reece Walshes of the world to say, hey, look, I'm going to step my authority. This is the
Yeah.
this is the new Broncos, and I'm going to be the leader of this new transition forward. And it just hasn't happened, man. So I put that down to the mental state of some of these players. They're a bit flighty in the highs and lows of the Bronx.
It's interesting because I listened
get a bit out there.
to Luke Carey. It was quite good. Like he's got a real open conversation with Matty Johns, and he kind of talks about his relationship back at the Rabbitohs when he was there with Madge, and he was saying it was that same kind of thing because he was so young, and they picked up that premiership in the first year when he was with them, and it was kind of like coming in the second season, and that's where he was the same, just butting heads. And so it was interesting because now he's older and kind of reflecting. He said he felt the same, like, oh, come on, mate, we've done it. Like, we don't need to go this hard. And it's almost like some of those standards fell off as a young player because you kind of done it. You know what you need to do. But it was just those little things like when you should do your own runs and stuff, you kind of was, I'll skip this one. And so it was almost just like a mental shift for the player itself to soften. I think that was like a lot of the rhetoric you hear, like the guys saying, fuck, we don't need to go this hard. Whereas, like, I guess in Madge's head, like, well, what is the recipe? Like how they talk insanity, but he's like, well, if you keep doing the same thing, we're going to get the same results. We have to go hard again. Whereas everyone's like, fuck, that's the first year, man. We already bought into it. Calm down. So, I don't know. Like you're saying, like he's a very special kind of coach. Like he can get it done. I just don't know if it's sustainable the way he does it. So it was interesting. Like Luke Carey's been through that, and it's very much what you see these guys going through now. Like that's that second year or can't do the hard slog the way that he makes you. Because I guess it is a mental thing. Like what he does, like it's not just breaking you training. He's like putting that standard and really driving that. And I guess it's not sustainable, almost like to live like a perfect thing to get that result. And it's just staying on that needle, like that's guarantee that, and that's why all these guys got these head problems. All right, let's quickly wrap up the games coming this weekend. Storm and Panthers kicking us up on Thursday night. How you guys seeing this, Stace? Panthers bouncing back or the Storm? I don't know if they got everyone back.
Yeah, Panthers, that's back-to-back losses. So that's unusual for them. I mean, I can just having a look through the teams now. They got Casey McLean back, who, we're obviously doing this podcast from New Zealand. We've seen how he's played for the Kiwis, and we rate him quite highly. So that's a big in for them. I just think, I don't know what happened to the Storm. I do. I don't think they've got the forward pack to unleash that spine that they've got there. So... the spine is operating on a lot of back football. I think that's going to be the case again. So I'm going to go the Panthers 13 plus on that one.
Ooh. Bobby?
Yeah, I actually want the Panthers to lose this game. But my heart's telling me Storm. My head's telling me Panthers. I reckon it'll be closer than 13 plus. But yeah, I reckon the Panthers will win this one.
Yeah, I'm going the same. I think the Panthers bounce back. I think that was just a learning last week, figuring out how they play without Yo. Still a huge blow. I think they get it done. I don't know what. Like you said, those forwards have let the Storm down this season. Raiders Bronx. I think we already called this, but maybe you guys might flip on it. Bob.
Raiders.
Stace.
Yep. I'm just a voyeur who wants to see what it's like to go from the penthouse to the outhouse in one season. So I'm going to go Raiders as well. Just good to see Simi Sasangi in the centers. He's had a great season. I heard you guys talk about your guys' Samoan team, and this guy, he's going to find his way in there. So watch out for him.
Yeah, it'd be interesting whether they play him in the second row or just use, because he's been gun at centre. So Raiders as well. Finns Eels. Bobby, how you seen this?
This time of the year, these Whatlanga teams, man, you never know what kind of team is going to show up on the day. On paper, man, the Finns should hammer this Eels team. Like, they really should. They got no business even being in my head thinking like they're going to take the Dolphins on. I'm going to pick an upset. I reckon the Eels going to win this. I don't know what for. It's just that time of the year where shitty teams sometimes upset the top 8 teams.
Stace, the Finns gone 4 in a row at the moment.
Oh, nice. Didn't know that. Connolly Limuelu out. That's a big. Hopefully, he's not out too long term because he's another guy who would be in the mix with Samoa along with Simi Sasangi. That might impact on where he gets played in that World Cup, depending on injuries. But I mean, yeah, these are tough ones to measure. A lot of it's got to do with the mindset. If you come in, I think the Sharks have had a bit of a mindset issues, thinking that they can just turn up and win against some Gaia teams. But that's not the case. These guys are playing for contracts and playing for their future relevance in the NRL. So I'm going to go the Dolphins because I think they need to do more to consolidate their spot in the top 4. So I'll go Dolphins in a close one.
I'm going to go Eels. I really like Volkman, and just so good to see him playing well again. So yeah, I'll go Volks and the Eels on that one. Knights and Manly. Stace. Manly.
Yeah, Knights, Manly. Where are we? Let me just pull this team up. Yeah, these are two good teams. I think the Knights have shown a lot. I think they were wooden spooners last year. And whatever happens, they've I don't know if they've overachieved, but they've had a good season regardless of whatever happens from now on. And it's almost like there's no pressure on them, and which I think is a good thing for them. I'll give the Knights to get that one done.
Yeah, good point about that. There's been a lot less noise and focus on them. I guess that's what happens when you're winning games. Bobby?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm picking the Knights too. Man, like when you think about where the Knights are at this year compared to last year, they couldn't buy a try last year, bro. Like their attack was it was less than mediocre. They were chucking everything at teams, and they just didn't have a finish. They couldn't get across the stripe enough times to carry them into the dub. So, but this year they're a real change team. Manly, I think, are just, they're falling off a cliff. Like they're still in, like those teams from Manly down to the Raiders, Manly, Storm, Raiders. They're in calculated territory with everyone else above them, trying to battle it out for their 8th spot. Like they're only two points off from being in the top 8. So, 2 or 4 points off from being in the top 8. So there's 3 games left. So mathematically speaking, if results go their way, they could get there. But I just don't see it for the Sea Eagles. That mindset you're talking about.
Teasing you, Roger.
Stace always,
just teasing you. It's not even possible.
Stacey always talks about momentum heading into finals.
Roger.
And they've just had 0 momentum. So if you're talking about that momentum heading into a final series, just stumbling in is really not enough. You want to be consistently putting on some wins and maybe having the odd stumble here and there. But nah, if you're outside the 8 already, you can't stumble in and think that you've had a successful season. I can't see the Seagulls doing it. So Knights for me.
Yeah, I've gone Knights as well. They look good. Like Ponga, like all those guys are stepping up now. Fletcher Sharp, Fletcher Hunt. Still without Dylan Brown. I don't know if he's even back. I don't know what his timeline is, but they seem to be getting it done. Be interesting to see how deep they go. Like you said, awesome achievement to make the 8 from the wooden spooners. Man, they did look good. Like that's the thing. If they just injuries have spoiled their season too. When they're all on the park, they do look good. I don't know if they've had enough consistency together to go deep. That's the only problem I think for the Knights. The boys versus the Rabbits over there. Rabbits are in the 8. Rabbits are in the 8, and they look good. Feeder looked good last week. That 7 change. So, yep, we're going with Hansen at 6. Chanel will lead the troops. Jet on the extended bench. Latrell Mitchell on the extended bench as well. Bobby, come to you first.
Oh, I've got to pick the Wires, bro, but I don't think this will be an easy game. They've got a strong forward pack, and David Fafita, man, depends on what sort of mood he's in. Like he's one of those.
Hopefully, we get
similar
lazy
to how,
Fafita.
similar to Lekalasima. That's the impact that David Fafita can have on a game, and you're right. Like if he's lazy Fafita, like he was at the Titans, like. This will be a walk in the park for our boys because he does that. He drifts in and out of games, and that form that he had a few years back when he was at the Broncos and saw him going to Origin and he was carving up in the Origin scene. I haven't really seen consistently enough that kind of form from Fafita. So there's all sorts of talk that Latrell Mitchell is an in for their team, and that might be something that he's named at 22, but they might bring him in. So I don't know. Is that enough? Probably not. It'll be a wise win, but I think it'll be a hard fought victory for me.
Stace.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Bob, man. I think this is the hardest game we've got left. The Rabbitohs in 7th. So if we can get a win, that'll be crucial to our potential top 2 chances. That Latrell one's really interesting. And also the halves. We sort of spoke about this a little bit, but Luke Hansen's a left-sided guy.
Oh, wow.
In reserve grade, he's a normal 5'8". Same with Chanel, who's a left-sided guy. So I would like them. I'm interested to see how they line up on defense. I would like Chanel to stay on the left just because he's a solid defender. And we talk about Dave Fafita. He played right edge back row last week, and he carved up. Not sure if that's a permanent move, but if he stays on the right, then I want Chanel to defend that side on the left just because he's a solid defender. And that means Luke Hansen defending in his unusual spot of the right side there. You talk about the Warriors, our strength. You look at Fisher Harris, Mitch Barnett, and Aaron Clark. Our middles are amazing. But you look at the Rabbitohs, Totola, Kalamatangi, Cam Murray, man, that's no slouches there. So that battle through the middle could go a long way to deciding the game. I'm going to go the Warriors as well in a close one. I'm going to go Taintor Piki to carve up because I think Chance is right on his heels to take that jersey back, and he needs to play big. And we've seen that in the past with the Warriors where, if you get an opportunity, they really step up. So Tain to go up, and I'm going to go the Warriors in a close one, similar to Bob.
Nice. Yeah, I am going to back the Wires, of course. That centre, that Tallis Duncan, I think that's probably something I want us to look out for, especially on that left edge, because him and Fafita, those two together as well, is a bit dangerous. So I think that's something to look out for. I think our forwards get it done, like you said, Bob. Just that calmness, the way they approached, the win last week. They know there's stuff to work on, and they seem such like a professional outfit. Like it's cool to have a team we support that's consistent now, not the nail biters in the 80th minute. So that I want to get more confident in being able to back the boys. So yeah, up the Wires this week against the Rabbits. Dragons, Dogs. Dogs, mathematical chance? Or they done? People keep saying they're done, but I see them on 10 wins.
They're mathematical.
They are. Okay.
They're only 2 points outside the 8, but I mean, that requires Cowboys who've got the bye this week and go up to 30, so they need to stay in touch and win.
Which would be great if I didn't want the Dragons to win. So I'll go Dragons on this. Bob?
Yeah, this is going to be a tough game for the Dragons to win. But I think if we keep putting it out to the universe, I feel like the Dragons can win this one.
can get it
They're,
done,
they're
man.
just that type of team.
Exactly.
And the doggies, just too inconsistent for me. Like they've
booking their
had
Bali
like
trips.
glimpses of form, and then they do stupid things. So yeah, I'm gonna pick the Dragons. I see that the doggies are still persisting with Critter at 5'8".
Yeah, you would have thought that just get over. Maybe there's the last chance, and then they'll change it up next week after they spoiled this season. Stace.
Yeah, they keep rearranging their spine too much for my liking. They've had, Burden at 5'8". They've had, I can't remember that guy that played for the Warriors, Sullivan.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
he
Sullivan.
played halfback a couple of times. Sean O'Sullivan. So they keep chopping and changing that spine, and it's still not settled. They still don't have the answers. You think Critter's an outstanding footballer, so he'll do a job for you just because he's an amazing player. But, he's one of the best centers in the world playing out of position to cover cracks in the side. And I'm talking the Bulldogs now down because I'm trying to talk myself into the Dragons winning to keep our previous conversation alive. And I'm going to go for the Dragons as well. You've got some young forwards there who are pretty good. These Couchman boys.
The Couchman boys are awesome.
Outstanding. Hamish Stewart I really like as well. We took looking at our fantasy, some of these Dragons unknowns at the start, the Couchman guys and Hamish Stewart, and that ended up being super coach guns, man. So
just
hopefully that can translate into something on the
kind of
field.
second rows. Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, it's hard to find those forwards that get these monster numbers. Then these guys all of a sudden just come out and play all school and rack up the numbers. Good tip for those super coaches out there who are still in the running. Oh, sorry, Cams. We don't really care about the Kalava Cup anymore. That's what it feels like to be Manly. I get it now. It's like, I don't really care about that competition because I'm not in it anymore. Titans and the Sharks. Stace, how you see this one going?
Yeah, Sharks have been poor. You think about a couple of weeks ago, they had won 7 in a row. People talking them up as potential Premiership contenders, and that can be the highs and lows, week to week propositions of some of these clubs. So I know there's still a lot of twists and turns to come. I'm going to pick the Sharks to get their season back on track. So I'll go as the Sharks. Titans, I don't rate. So I'll go Sharks in a close one. I think Trindle was a big loss, actually.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Bobby, Trindle-less Sharks. I don't know. Can they fix it up for the rest of their season?
I'm picking the Whakleangamea Titans to upset the Sharks in this game. I'm picking Jaden Campbell's going to play out of his skins, and we're going to see the reason why JJ Fifita was selected for Queensland this year instead of Origin. You know how I said that the Warriors, you just feel like they're super connected, and it seems that way off the field, on the field, you can see it. I don't see that same connectedness with the Sharks, man. I see it with the Titans, but they just don't have the caliber of players like the Warriors do. Like you see it every week that they lose. Like those guys are losing together because they're connected through their gayaness. But whereas the opposite of the Wires, our boys are connected through how well we're playing. So I think because of their bonding through all their losses, the Titans are more connected for me than the Sharks. If you can follow that logic, I just don't want the Sharks to be nipping at our heels, to be honest.
Getting too
they're only
close.
a couple of wins behind us, so come on, Titans, do us all a favour and keep the Sharks down lower in that top 8.
Yeah, Nephi Puru's not too bad, but that's a huge blow. Like that whole Trindle and again, like I don't know what Nephi is if he's an out and out 6, because that really screws things up. Because they've been playing 6 and 7 out of position, just different numbers. Now Nico has to somehow play like an actual 7, and I don't think he hasn't done that all season. And when he does, he's a bit kaya at it. And so I'm definitely, I liked Elias as well. It was nice to see Lachlan Elias back in the top level, and he had a few good touches. So with that, I'm gonna go the Titans. And I don't know where the Shark season goes now. I had them. I put a $5 bet on them because they had good odds to win the premiership, but now they look gaks without Triple. Roosters and Tigers finishing out the weekend. Man, the Tigers, I don't know. Benji just looks resigned to let me get on with the end of the season and I'll sort it out next year. Roosters screwed everything up. Now that they're top of the table, like they're for and against. I really wanted the Panthers to win last week. We just need the results to go our way. But yeah, I see the Roosters getting it done. The Tigers are done. Tigers are out. Stace?
Yeah, I agree. The wheels have fallen off the Tigers pretty badly. So they've had a lot of off-field issues which have permeated onto the field. And the Roosters are flying, man, top of the table, like you said. So this is probably one of the easiest games to pick. I'm going to pick the Roosters by 25, 30 to just put a score on them. So, yeah. I'm going to go a Marky Mark hat trick in this game.
Ooh, nice.
I think he's going to cover. Yeah, they got Taruva's out, Dewey's out. They've got some problems in the backs. So I think that the outside backs of the Roosters might cash in here. Yeah.
There you go. Bobby, what's your margin on this?
I reckon this might be like the Cowboys game that the Roosters played a few weeks back, potentially. And I think the Tigers are not as good as the Cowboys were in that game. So this could get super ugly. Yeah, like I reckon it's going to be at least 40 points by the Roosters. It's going to be one of those anytime try scorers pick all of the Roosters backs.
Yeah.
For the one time where your 7 legs bet is going to come in. So, yeah, I think this is going to get ugly. I reckon Sam Walker's going to score a double. Hey, heard it here first. Hey.
I like that Walker double. It's going to be interesting. All right, boys. Nice wrap. Nice little picks there. Gamble responsibly. Any last thoughts, Bobby? Come to you first.
Not league related, but I just wanted to send love out to the Pua family who here in Henderson, who lost one of their family members. One of the boys, Ray, passed away earlier in the week, and we had his funeral yesterday. So much love to the Pua Inga. They lost their old man last sort of a few years back. So tragically, and now Ray's passed away as well. So it was good to see heaps of the Liston boys at his funeral yesterday. Aaron was there too. He was there with his bro, with Mike and Mike's son, Ty Aaron, I think his name's called. So yeah, it was good to see the boys. So shout out to the poor family. Much love to the Ainga there who've lost their son Ray. So shout out and much love to Auntie Makalinga as well.
Nice.
Yeah, that's me.
Stace, final words.
Yeah, I've been doing. I've been coming on the pod much recently. I've been doing the that Channel 135 podcast, which is our TV show podcast with Cams and Eric, and we have this section on the podcast called 135 Channel 135 recommends. We basically recommend a TV show or a movie to watch just for the listeners. Now, it's a bit of a side project, right? I've been making my way through the list of the top 250 movies ever made. And I watched one recently that you guys will all know, which is the Bruce Lee classic, Into the Dragon. So I'm going to draw this massively long bow now to make this analogy, right? But there's the scene in Into the Dragon where Bruce Lee, right, he's teaching one of his students and he says, it's like a finger pointing to the moon. So don't concentrate on the finger or you'll miss all the heavenly glory. And that started me thinking about the Warriors in sort of a weird way. So the finger for us is like the Premiership. So that's what we're staring at. Sort of, can we win it? Can we finish in the top 2 to get those home playoffs, get those home finals? And don't get me wrong, I believe we can win this competition, and I desperately want that to happen. But I also don't want the Premiership to become the only way we decide whether the season was successful. Because maybe the biggest story, which is the moon in this analogy, is what the Warriors have become. So when I was talking today earlier about New Zealanders choosing a Warriors Premiership over another All Blacks World Cup, you think 10 years ago, that was almost unthinkable. So the Warriors haven't needed to win a Premiership to get to this level and to get to where we are now. They've already changed their place in New Zealand sport. So they're selling out stadiums. Kids are growing up wearing Warriors jerseys. The whole country is talking about them. They're no longer in the shadow of the All Blacks. So they're standing alongside them in the sporting psyche. So absolutely keep pointing towards that Premiership, which is the finger, but don't become so fixated on that finger that we miss just how significant the Warriors have now become in New Zealand's collective sporting consciousness. So that's my final words and my long drawn bow analogy with a movie I watched recently, Into the Dragon.
I like the analogies, Stace. See, Cams, can you make sure you put in the music and all those edits from Bruce Lee?
That was awesome, man.
Do my Bruce Lee.
Remind me of that champion from New Zealand.
Yeah. Your uncle, the art of fighting without fighting.
Fighting without fighting.
Yo, me. That island. You take this boat.
And with that, we'll wrap up. My Lord boys, thank you for jumping on, and thank you for listening. If you've stayed on this long, please go give us a like and subscribe over at the Weswes Sports channel on YouTube and all our other social platforms, and the website theweswes.com. For today, we'll see you guys next time. Cheers, Usos.
Cheers.